Returning artists in 2020. We certainly have a few that have confirmed to be releasing new music. We have some that are rumoured to be releasing new music. There's all sorts. If you go onto 2020 albums on Wikipedia, then there's just a whole list of stuff which I thought would make for a fun video. I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be the best of content or how factual it is, but we've got some really interesting stuff. We went over some of the debut albums that I'm excited to see in the next year, but let's look at some of the returning artists, be that second, third, fourth, fifth album, and so on and so forth. And let's just straight out the back go with the biggest rumour and pure speculation, nothing confirmed, but really hope this happens, is Daft Punk. Now, the last album came out, when did that come out? It must have been 2012, 2013 maybe, which means that Get Lucky is just shy of 10 years old. I believe that came out in 2011, late 2011, which is mad. But the big rumours are that Daft Punk are returning in 2020 for a new album, and if that means they're playing Glastonbury, that's exciting. But anytime Daft Punk release a new album, it's an exciting time because they really are trendsetters. They really are. When you look at that last record, you look at where they were going with it all. This whole like bluesy funk thing that Tyler the Creator and Steve Lacy and the Internet and Anderson .Paak and Kate Renata and that whole thing, I think wouldn't exist in the same way anyway if you didn't have Daft Punk in the last album, because they went more on less from a sample kind of base and more onto creating new music and samples. And I think that Random Access Memories was amazing. And going back, like Discovery and Homework and whatever the one with Robot Rock on is, like they're amazing albums. They really are. They are genre defying. They are just the most out there people. And so if Daft Punk come back in 2020, I think we can all be very excited. Other artists, right, I'm going to go in list order now. This is in no order of any form of genre. Idols album number 3 is something I'm incredibly excited by. If we get a third Idols album this year, I will be over the moon. I really didn't Brutalism is one of my favourite albums of all time. It was my album of the year 2018, I believe. No, 2017. It would have been one of my albums of the year. It was absolutely incredible. Joy as an Act of Resistance is a really good album that I had to go back to appreciate, but you know, some of those records on that album are amazing. I just had it, I wasn't excited by it in the same way because we just had an Idols album come out. But if we get album number 3 next year, this year, it's well exciting. I'm really up for that. They've been away for a couple of years. There's a lot more hype around them now. I'm excited to see them play the festival circuit again, see what they kind of come through with. The loud and aggressive sound is really good. And in this kind of very unstable political time, you know, we don't have people like Rage Against the Machine belting out these epic anthems. I think Sam Fender touched on quite a lot of political stuff last year, that there's not as many people as there once was, and I don't know why that is, but that whole era of kind of early nu metal with people like System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine was a really exciting time for stuff like that, and I'm really ready for more politically charged, loud and aggressive music is right up my street. So a third album for Idols is something I'd be very excited for. Next on the list is Haim. Now Haim, I don't know how to pronounce it. I always call them Haim, but Haim I think is probably how they pronounce it. Haim Time is the name of their radio show. They're such an incredible band. They burst onto the scene and were the sound of 2013, I'm going to hazard a guess at. Could have been 14, but I think it was 13. And I thought that they were really good then. I saw them Reading that year when they released their first album. I was not impressed. It was 2013. I wasn't that impressed. And then I saw them support Kings of Leon at Milton Keynes Bowl and thought that they were absolutely brilliant. Since then, they released their second album, which I can't remember the name of, but loved that record. Loved that record. Such an underrated album, and I completely missed it when it came out. It was one that I kind of discovered in the January. This kind of time of year is when I rediscover stuff, and that came out in 2017. January 2018, I was like, this is amazing. I think every record on that album was so good, and everything they've put out since is so exciting. There aren't many girl bands, and by girl band I don't mean like the Spice Girls or Little Mix. I mean like all girl rock and roll bands that are as good as as Haim or Haim. I just want them to come back and release another belter of an album so that we can see them headline, because that would be very exciting. Whether they're working on Rostam again or not, I don't know. Who knows? They're just brilliant, and I'm really excited for their new album, which they've been putting out singles, so one can only assume that there's a new album on the way. Another band that are coming back this year, very popular in Australia, very popular here. I think they're probably more popular in Australia, and that's Nothing But Thieves. I've never really been that into Nothing But Thieves. However, Lauren has got more and more into them. That's my girlfriend, for those that don't know. She's got more and more into them over the last few years, and I think that they're absolutely brilliant. I'm really excited at the prospect of a new album from them, because that means festival circuit, that means new music, that means a lot. It means just a lot more of them, and I think that they've been establishing their sound more and more, and I think that they're filling a gap which has been pretty empty for a long time. So I'm excited at the prospect of a new album from them, and just to kind of get into them more, really. I think it's always helpful when you've missed out on a band a bit, when they release something new, to kind of go, right, here's my in. And that's happened with many bands for me over the years. You can't always jump on the bandwagon, but I think that they're an exciting band, and they've clearly stood the test of time, and they've got a big following, and lots of people really love them. So excited to see more from them. Next is the Chaps, who have been saying that they've been going to be releasing new music. They said it was supposed to release new music last year. They released Pub Feed and Identity Theft, but they didn't release anything else. I hope that means that's the start of a new album. A very exciting Australian punk band. A very exciting Australian punk band. Very loud, very garage. Or what do they call themselves? Shed punk? Because they're not punk. Because real punk wouldn't like them. I just love them. They're so good. They're very comedic. They've got a very fun sound. And if that means that we're going to get a new album, what comes with the new album is a tour and festival circuit, and that is thoroughly exciting to me. Next is A$AP Rocky, who released his last album in 2017. That was the one where he collaborated, was it 2018? It might have been 2018. Collaborated with Skepta on The Shine, which is a great record, but recently released Sundress and also released Babushka Boy. A$AP Rocky's in a very interesting place in his career in developing his sound. I don't think he would come back and make just another conventional hip-hop record. He's always been at the forefront of experimentation and pushing different sounds and stuff, but he is someone that I find incredibly exciting and interesting. And based on the last few things he's put out, I think it could be a really interesting project if he just goes a bit more down a psychedelic route. So, A$AP Rocky, hopefully in 2020. Biffy Clyro. God, it's been a minute since we've had a Biffy Clyro album, and I'm not counting the soundtrack that they wrote. I mean a full-fledged Biffy Clyro album. We haven't seen them. When was the last time they headlined? I think they headlined 2013. 17 maybe? 2017? They're a great band. They're such a good, heavy British rock band. I love them. They join the class of people from Scotland that I'm a fan of. There's a lot that I'm not a fan of from Scotland. Franz Ferdinand, for example. No. But I think that they're great, and I'm just really excited to hear some more music from them. Could mean a headline slot. I'm kind of waiting. They've said that they were going to release a soundtrack and that they were going to put out another album this year. So whether they stay true to that or not, I don't know. But Biffy Clyro is an exciting one for me. Next is I think it's going to be the third album from Ocean Alley. We got 2 new records from there in the last year. We got Stained Glass, which was, if you watch my top 50 of the year, then Stained Glass featured in that playlist. We've also got we've just got another new track from them in December, I think it was. So, which I missed out on until like yesterday. New album from them. That's exciting. They're a band that just remind me of really chilled, beautiful beaches in Australia, and I think that's not a bad thing to be reminded of. Their back catalogue is extensive and very, very, very exciting. They were brilliant at Reading this year. Again, another band that I missed on the hype train, but I'm ready to join it when their next album comes around. Ocean Alley 2020. Next is The Strokes, and The Strokes have just announced that they're releasing their next album. Hang on, what album is that? Is this it? Room on Fire, Angels. I think this would be album number 5. Album number 5. Album number 4 did not get received very well. Well, I don't think I heard any tastemakers talking about it or any reports, so completely missed out on that one. But the first 3 albums are absolutely amazing. Obviously, Is This It? Their debut album was just such an important record to so many current bands. If you look at any current band, they will, the large majority of indie rock and roll bands will all state the Strokes as an influence. You can hear them in people like Sam Fender, Arctic Monkeys, you name it, they'll be influenced by the Strokes. Is This It was just such an iconic and legendary album. I think they're brilliant, and I'm really excited to see where they have gone, because they've been away for a long time. 2011 was the last time that they played Reading and Leeds. Perhaps that means that they're back to play it this year, who knows. Perhaps they'll play Glastonbury. At a minimum, then we're getting a new Strokes album, and that's exciting. Next on the list, RTJ4. We've been promised RTJ4 for a while now. RTJ4, also known as Run the Jewels 4, from rap duo Run the Jewels, LP and Killer Mike. Do yourself a favour, if you've never listened to Run the Jewels, go back and listen to their first 3 albums, because they have this sound which is just hench production, big, beefy, bolshy, like a metal record, but rapping that has flow and purpose and is political and expressive in a way that loads of other people aren't. You know, I don't think there are many decent people coming out of Atlanta at the moment. I really don't. I think the whole Atlanta sound, the whole mumble rap thing is such bullshit. But Run the Jewels are a different kettle of fish, and they're just really exciting. Whenever they're back, I just love their records. They're just so good. It goes out there, it's in your face, and it's brilliant. Run the Jewels 4. Can we have it soon, please? The next is a bit of a different one, but it could mean some interesting Glastonbury features, and also, you know, they're just brilliant. It's the Avalanches. Avalanches released their seminal album was Since I Left You, is that what it's called? They formed they're an Australian band, formed in Melbourne in 1997. Since I Left You, which came out in 2000, was their debut album as well, and absolutely iconic. Most famous record on that album was Frontier Psychiatrist, and in 2016 they followed that up with the album Wildflower, which was really, really well received at the time. I don't think it was quite as iconic as Since I Left You, but you know, how do you follow that up? But new music from them means amazing collaborations, it means a push in musical taste and styles, it means that we might see them play at Glastonbury, and that is thoroughly exciting. Next on the list is Lorde. We haven't seen Lorde since 2017 when she released Greenlight, Melodrama, and obviously the big single on that was Greenlight, which was just an amazing record. Lorde is one of these artists that going into album 3 is a big deal. She came out with a boom with her first album. Second album was huge. I don't think it was quite as big as the first one, but it was still huge. Third album, if she hits this, she joins the Adeles, the Beyoncés, the Taylor Swifts of the world, and I'm talking big female artists. The Madonnas, the Kylie Minogues. She goes down as an icon if she smashes the third album. Now, who's she working with? Second album was working with Jack Antonoff. I don't know what that means for Lorde. If I were her, I'd be going and working with Jack Antonoff again. Although, you know, we were talking about Haim earlier. I think she could work quite well with Rustum from Vampire Weekend. That'd be really exciting as well. Not a lot of people come out of New Zealand, so when people do, it's pretty exciting. When was her last? Oh, then she went and featured on Magnus, didn't she, on Caracal, which was amazing. What a great record. Yeah, Melodrama came out in 2017. It was produced by her and Jack Antonoff and Andrew Wyatt. Interesting. Flume. Okay, so there's a cool list of people there. I think she just carries on doing that, if I'm honest with you, and just goes for something big. My advice would be don't go too soppy, because I think that you fall into a trap of sound like everyone else. Lorde, exciting. Returning at the beginning of February is the 1975 of their fourth album, Notes on a Conditional Form. That's an exciting one for everyone. They released their last album, number 3, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships, in 2018, right at the end of, and obviously then went on and had a massive 2019, set for another tour in 2020, hotly tipped to headline the other stage at Glastonbury. I think that's just a really exciting time. We're living in a time of 1975 hugeness. They're taking over the world, and they're going on to just be one of the biggest bands. We'll look back at this time in 20 years and just go, I can't believe that we were living around that kind of time in the 1975, in the same way that we look back at seeing the Arctic Monkeys in the mid-noughties, or Oasis in the 90s, hell, even the Beatles and Rolling Stones, that kind of thing. The 1975 are the absolute zeitgeist of current pop culture in the UK and around a lot of the world as well. They're not as big in Australia, but they've done it all from a grassroots organic growth themselves. They don't have backing of any radios or anything like that, so I think they're just an amazing band. And to sell out their tour and play to 80,000 people at both Reading and Leeds is huge. I'm just really interested to see where they go from here, if I'm honest with you. I think they're a massive, massive band. And I love People. I think that's an amazing record. I thought that the opening speech essay from Greta Thunberg is very touching. It brings me to tears when I watch it live. And what's the latest track that they released? Fragile State of Mind. I just think it's wonderful. We've got, and they've got that really cool little electronic interlude that they play live which is going to be on the album but hasn't been released yet. I started that mix with last year, so we've got a few tracks. It's shaping up to be a really exciting album. Hopefully it's not quite as dreary as Notes. Not as dreary as A Brief Inquiry, but you know, I'm sure regardless of what happens, give it a year and I'll love it. 1975. Also rumoured to be releasing an album out next year is Childish Gambino. So first album came out, God knows, 2015. His second album obviously was amazing. That came out, 2017, I'm gonna guess. He's just gone on to be one of the biggest artists. He's just so big. This Is America was just such a massive monster record. He's such a talented comedian. He's such a talented actor. And to go and be bloody Childish Gambino as well? Are you kidding me? I don't think there are many people that can sing like Prince and rap like Biggie, but he can. He's just the perfect blend of both of those people, and I just think he's an amazing person. So whenever he's going to release an album, it's going to be huge. Tell you what, I was thinking the other day, there aren't many rappers that could play Reading and Leeds that I would be a fan of that haven't already played that deserve the slot. Childish Gambino could. Childish Gambino really could. That would be exciting. That would be exciting to me. Why have we not talked about this? Why has no one put this forward as a potential headliner? Also rumoured to be releasing a new album next year on the hip-hop front is Kendrick Lamar, also hotly tipped to play Glastonbury this year on the Friday night on the Pyramid stage. This excites me. Kendrick Lamar is, look, in my opinion, I've been listening to hip-hop since I was like 10 years old. I'm a big fan of hip-hop. A big fan. It makes up a lot of what I listen to. But I genuinely believe that Kendrick Lamar is the greatest rapper. I genuinely believe that. I think he's absolutely amazing. I loved Good Kid, Mad City. I thought it was one of the best albums I've ever listened to, and still is. You can stick it on track for track. It is amazing. It tells a wonderful story. To Pimp a Butterfly was so out there and experimental. It's just one of the greatest albums ever released. It's so edgy and creative. I just love it. Damn was a really interesting story. It wasn't as good as those two albums, but he's still brilliant. DNA is amazing. Humble is amazing. The track Duckworth is incredible. There's plenty on that album which is very, very, very exciting. I just don't think it hit. I don't think it smacked it as much as I would have liked it to, but a lot of people would disagree with me, and that's okay. So, rumoured to be headlining Glastonbury, therefore maybe a new album. That would be brilliant. I'm okay with that. More Kendrick equals more happiness for me. And it's been 3 years since we got an album, so I'm ready for it. The Weeknd recently put out a couple new records, which is pushing towards what sounds like a new album. I don't know if we've got a release date, anything confirmed at this point. We've got a couple new singles, and both of those have really cool sounds. He's a very talented guy. He's just doing something that I think is really interesting in the world of music that I don't think anyone else is. He's pop and R&B, but it's also kind of dark and scary, and it's not clean, polished. It's so sleazy is the word I use, but I mean that in a really, really good way. I'm just really excited by The Weeknd. I think Starboy was massive. I think that first project he put out was brilliant. So he had those 3 EPs, then he had his first album, then he put out Starboy, and that was 2016, so we've had 4 years since we've had a Weeknd album. So I'm really excited for something new. It's The Weeknd. Why wouldn't you be? Right, down to our last 3. Let's continue with some hip-hop. It's been like 2 years since we released a Drake album. That's a shocker. He hasn't really put anything out since Scorpion, which I thought was utter drivel. It was an EP surrounded by a double album, and it didn't need to be a double album. But I think it was good that Drake had a bit of a year off. I'm kind of ready for something new from him now, because I'm used to seeing so much from him. I don't think there's anything more to say there. It's Drake. He's one of the biggest performers in the world. He's modern day Michael Jackson. Big news for Deftones fans. They're rumoured to be releasing a new record this year. Don't know what release date that is yet. We don't know when that's coming out, but you know, Deftones are a very important group of people that have put out music in the last kind of 30 years. I think they formed in 89, Deftones, you know, and I think they were putting out stuff all the way through the 90s. It wasn't until the noughties that they really started to hammer it home, and are now just one of the biggest bands like ever. So I'm excited to see more from them. I think the last album's called Gore. It was the one with the flamingos flying across the sky. It was not what you would expect from a Deftones album. It was quite slow and industrial and grungy, and they had this very bright pink cover. It was nice. And the last band, I call them a band, a two-piece band, rumoured to be releasing new music this year, is Royal Blood. And goodness gracious me, am I ready for a Royal Blood headline slot. I am really, really ready for them to come back, release album number 3, dominate the world, headline every festival. Absolutely ready for that. I kind of want this to be towards the end of the year so that they can play Reading and Leeds 2021 and headline it. They don't think they could go and headline it this year because they sub-headlined last year. So I'm ready for that. I'm ready for Royal Blood to come and play. That's going to be brilliant. And new music from them is always wonderful as well, because they're just absolutely incredible. Who have I missed on this list that you're excited to see? Returning artists releasing music in 2020. So many people that are rumoured, and if even half of this list is true, then we're really, really lucky. On top of all of the bands, if you look at all the albums that I loved this year, how many of them were new? We're looking at Wallows, SLP, Slow Tie, Sam Fender. I'm missing 2. Can't remember what they are. Oops. So, you know, the kind of conversation around my favourite albums of the year that we have at the end of 2020 will not look anything like this list, because it never does. But I think that we've got some really exciting people that are releasing albums. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.